Welcome everybody. My name is Mikko Nykuri. I'm a product lead here at Intervision for Modern Infrastructure. And today's webinar, I'm going to be co-presenting with my partner in crime here, Tony Cabriles. So the topic is going to be the return on investments on IT assessments. So we'll be covering on what kind of modern infrastructure or infrastructure overall assessments to be provided and how can those benefit you. So without further ado, let's get started here. Tony, you want to do any quick intros on your role?
Yeah, I'm from BDR team, working along with the specialist and marketing team. And
all right, great. Thanks, Tony. Let's get started. So this is just a quick overview on the agenda. So we'll cover a little bit on how does it feel like navigating those murky waters of IT overall? So why assessments and what are the assessments? What are the benefits of that? And then just move over to questions and answers session. So something I want to mention is that if there's any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A panel here for any questions, and we'll read them out loud at the end. Thank you. So, Tony, why don't you get started with this one?
Yeah, Mikko, we found that what you don't measure, you can improve. If you unmanage, you don't it's unoptimized, and you actually ignore the cost of neglect. And we find that more than 90% of IT teams feel a lot of pressure in order to push the go-to-market, trying to adapt to the flexibility and the rapid changes to the go-to-market of every organization. So they end up taking a lot of shadow IT, and along with that, more than 30% of the compliance teams are undergoing with controls and testing as well due to that peer pressure.
Yeah, those are great points. I really like to highlight that fact that there's a centralized IT at every organization, but there's also the line of businesses. There's also different shadow IT organizations there that have their own little projects that they're driving. So really managing everything between that shadow IT project and the lack of centralized managed administration, and the fact that we still need to be compliant, and that really requires that centralized visibility administration. Those are a little bit in conflict with each other. I mean, both are necessary things, but we really need to have a good way to manage that disparity between multiple cooks in the kitchen and one centralized view on everything. So that's a really good point. So really, what are those hidden risks in IT environments? So when we look at any IT environment, we typically see just the tip of the iceberg, the proverbial tip of the iceberg there, with symptoms like, for example, downtimes or slow connections on networking side as an example. But then when you start looking into what's causing everything, there might be a lot of different causes for these symptoms. So undetected intrusions, outdated software on the hardware or the software side itself there, data breaches, undiagnosed bottlenecks that are slowing down the environment as a whole and might even add up on licensing costs, depending on the licensing model for the environment. Suboptimal performance. So it's really all about the end-to-end user experience, inability to grow and scale. So especially when you have multiple environments coming together from mergers, acquisitions, or inherited environments, it's really key to understand where do we need to not only be today, but where does the organization need to be tomorrow, and plan for that. IT ticket generator. So looking at, are there repeating items that's causing IT tickets and really need to be tackled in a more comprehensive way. Outdated technology. Are there better ways, for example, to have the connectivity done instead of how it's done today? System failures and ultimately data loss. Nobody wants to have data loss in their environment. So there's a lot of key items we need to keep an eye on, in addition to the symptoms we see, but also assess everything that's beneath the surface. So when we look at what are the market drivers to optimize environments, it's all about digital transformation. We have AI, a lot of other drivers there that really causing a spike in, for example, amount of traffic and data being consumed and sent and created by organizations. We also have the need for agility and flexibility. There's no more static environments or systems. We need to have organizational requirements met by the systems in the environment, whether it's in on-premise, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's a hybrid. There needs to be that agility and flexibility to meet everybody's needs. Vendor lock-in mitigation. So again, there's pros and cons of standardizing. There's always the con of if you just go with one vendor, there might be pricing and other aspects that might not be optimized in that kind of environment. So it's really good to understand, are there ways to optimize from vendor perspective as well? Regulatory compliance. So what are the vertical regulatory compliance requirements affecting your environment? And are you meeting those today? Are you providing and being able to provide the reporting that you're meeting those? And is your environment optimized for usage? Is everything optimized in a way that you're not under provision or over provision? You have a good end-to-end experience, and also your license, your subscriptions, everything is according to your needs. So that's really good to understand. And access to innovation. So the good thing about IT is that everything evolves all the time. So we have a lot of new technologies, not a lot of new, even complete jumps in technology that we can adopt and really leverage the benefits for the organization. So these are the key drivers to optimize the environments.
And now we have here the why as well. All that you mentioned there, Mika, you can see that a lot of things could impact on productivity. So why the purpose that we could find there is to identify hidden risk and opportunities for in your IT environment, and with all the expansion of the surface and different providers, SaaS platforms, and you could create a strategic and all holistic view of your infrastructure, which should be the cornerstone of your digital transformation and the support for the go-to-market and the strategy of the organization. And obviously, with the benefits, a quick win that you would get is to ensure that your network and the IT environment are resilient in case of something happens, because at the end of the day, things could happen and go wrong. Be prepared for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tony. Those are key items. So let's go through a little bit on the infrastructure side, on what type of assessments can we provide today. So again, just to review, there's a lot of different kind of assessments. There's infrastructure assessments like we're looking at here, but we of course have also other kind of assessments like cybersecurity assessments. We have cloud assessments. So today we're going to focus here on really on the infrastructure side. But again, we're happy to provide details on any of those assessments at the last slide that we're going to cover there for you. But let's focus here on the infrastructure assessments we have and today that are really key for meeting those organizational needs. So we have network assessments, really that's self-explanatory. It's everything related to the networks themselves, switches, routers, even some firewall information, so on. We have wireless LAN surveys or wireless LAN assessments that are all about just understanding the coverage areas and contention, throughput, all of that. That's really key on having good wireless LAN experience for customers end to end. Again, compute assessments, whether it's servers, whether it's overall compute you need to have, just making sure you're having everything met from requirements perspective, so provisioning and overall high availability and provisioning perspective there, making sure that we're meeting all the needs. And then virtualization assessments, independent of what type of environment you have. You probably have virtual machines in an environment, on-premise, hybrid, cloud environments there. So really providing the best way to optimize not only the performance and provisioning of those virtual machines, but also optimizing those licensing costs. That's always a hot topic, to make sure that you have the right type of processors, right number of sockets there in use there, and really optimizing that from licensing perspective as well, to meet not only all the needs, but to optimize the cost as well. So let's start with the network assessments. It's really all about having a comprehensive analysis of the networking infrastructure, covering the hardware, software, and configurations, having the tools and techniques for advanced diagnostics and methodologies to gather the accurate data in the environment, and deliverables from detailed reports to risk identification and performance recommendations. So really, what is the plan? Creating that plan on how to resolve, how to mitigate all of those caveats and gaps in the environments, or how to plan for the future, how to make sure that we're meeting all the needs, current and future needs of the organizations. Wireless LAN assessments or wireless LAN surveys, again, looking at the performance and coverage, making sure that you are having that, meeting again the top needs for network performance and coverage, ensuring that optimal signal strength, reducing interference, enhancing the wireless experience. Good example is that power level on your access points, making sure that those are planned out in an optimal way so that you're getting the best signal strength, attenuation, everything else across your floor plans. We're able to provide great mapping there of all of that, all of those coverages and systems there, to ensure that it's optimized for that environment and it doesn't interfere, for example, with your other systems in the environment on the same frequencies. We provide heat maps, coverage reports, and recommendations for improvement. So there's a lot of great, again, information available, and also great technology available for improvement there. Compute assessments, so assessing the efficiency of your server infrastructure, identifying the underutilized resources and optimizing the configurations. And we also provide performance reports, utilization metrics, roadmap for optimization. So there's a lot of different ways, again, on hardware, software side, we can optimize the compute side for your environment. And last but not least, virtualization assessment. So evaluating your virtualized environments for peak efficiency and identifying the over-provision or underutilized VMs to improve resource allocation. So there's always that aspect, and making sure that we're right-sizing everything and optimizing that from usage point of view, but also from licensing point of view and subscription point of view. So we can provide health check reports, optimization recommendation, and a strategic plan here as well. So benefits overall, it's all about detecting vulnerabilities and security threats in different levels. Like I mentioned, we also have a comprehensive cybersecurity assessments available here, but on the infrastructure side as well, it's good to understand that's what are the CVEs, what are the vulnerabilities, what are the recommended software firmware versions for the environment there, to make sure that we're closing all the gaps and reducing attack vectors from security perspective. Performance optimization, really identifying, resolving those bottlenecks, making sure that we're, again, solving for that end user experience, the end-to-end experience there, so that the performance meets all the local, remote cloud application perspective, from networking perspective, for example, and really understanding the environment and what are the potential bottlenecks currently and also in the future. And of course,
and as we comment internally the other day in Miko, that the performance optimization is pretty important between the teams, right? That bottlenecks usually do generate friction between teams, internal teams as well.
Absolutely, that's a great point there as well. So it's all about having that comprehensive view again. Cost savings, optimizing the environment overall, and meeting those compliance requirements. Those industry standards, regulations. There's a lot of different verticals, a lot of different regulations. It's really key to understand, are we meeting those requirements? And also, it's most often that's also multiple times a year we need to meet those requirements. So there's definitely definitely good reporting available for that. So Tony, did you want to go through over the, oh, this is mine, sorry. Comprehensive assessment. So we're providing that holistic view, really combining the insights all across network, wireless LAN, compute, and virtualization for a holistic view, and developing a unified plan to optimize the entire IT environment, and working closely and collaborating with you to really implement that recommendation and track the progress there as well. So really having that plan, collaborating with you, and really helping to improve and enhance the environments to meet all the needs.
Yeah, and the timing of many vendors as well that usually change subscription plans from different licensing type and packaging, we can adapt to the solution they currently have to new ways or new providers, new solutions.
So we look like we have a couple of questions here. Why don't I, Tony, just read, I'll read the first one here. We have a question, oh, did you say something, sorry?
No, I'm looking at the questions, yeah.
Okay, so we have the first one here. What steps can businesses take to shift from reactive to proactive IT management? Yeah, that's always a key, really. Like, do you want to stay ahead of the curve to really prepare for what's happening next, or do you just want to be reactive and really probably not have the best experience for the organization there? It's really key leveraging something like these assessments to stay ahead of the curve, stay ahead of potential problems by really identifying, using the assessments to identify any potential caveats, any potential gaps in the environment proactively, instead of running into problems once there's a critical vulnerability or a resource allocation that's been oversubscribed, or anything else that we can easily plan ahead for if we assess the environments and really act accordingly. Tony, you wanna, I see the other question, you wanna take the next one?
I have number 2 here, that what are the indicators that business should look for to determine if their IT strategy needs adjustment? Well, pretty much compliance, and depending on the kind of industry they have, compliance is an important one. And if the risk of the business it's kind of high, they need to readjust and see or have an overview of what they need to change. And as I mentioned as well in the benefits, if internally between teams there is friction due to bottlenecks and optimization needs to be done, it's a way indicator that things could be better.
Yeah, and strategy is always one of those. Sorry if I want to just interject here, but yeah, strategy is always a key there. Like, you have to really take the time, step back, look at everything, like we mentioned here on the slides, looking at the comprehensive picture there, and emerging technologies, looking at, for example, AI. How can AI help in the form of leveraging, for example, reduce the ticket generation, leveraging different platforms, new technologies that actually use AI to self-organize the networks, or improve automatically or detect even proactively any kind of potential issues you might have in the environment. So from strategy perspective, it's really key to have a partner collaborate with somebody who can really understand and guide organizations through the landscape of different options that are available, and really make those smart strategic moves on preparing not only for today, but also for that future opportunities that organizations have. So that's really a good question, and strategy is always hard. It's hard to take that step back and look at the forest from the trees, but it's really necessary time to time. And I'll just do one more here. I think we have the time here. So there's a question about standardizing on a single vendor to really have that comprehensive view in the environment. So, I mean, standardizing on a single vendor, I mean, there's pros and cons and everything. Reporting, of course, is easier when you have a single platform with a single vendor. But again, it's that vendor lock-in. You might be missing out on other technologies, other improvements, other opportunities there to really meet those performance requirements, compliance needs, everything else in a better way. If you lock in, it also has those caveats and drawbacks there in a way. From cost perspective, it might be cost prohibitive to have that comprehensive environment that meets all of your needs done with a single vendor. With somebody like Vision, we can help really navigate all of the best of breed technologies that really provide the best value for the organization and really help you get the best out of all of the different platforms available without losing that critical insight, that comprehensive insight across the environment there. So that's a long-winded answer, but there's pros and cons in single vendor strategy versus looking at best of breed technologies. It's good to have a way out of vendor lock-in so that you can always change direction if needed. That's kind of my answer here. Something I do want to mention here. Do we have any? I think that's all the questions we have right now. Tony, any other questions?
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, I don't see any others there. So something I want to mention is that we're actually right now launching also new pre-packaged assessments. So we have those comprehensive assessments overall across the infrastructure, really are across network, wireless LAN, compute, and virtualization. We have those available as any level as required from the customer side. But we're launching also these new assessments, pre-packaged assessment, that are really targeting for those initial easy assessments or initial assessment needs on customer side. So really, we're going to provide some additional details here where you can sign up for more details and somebody to contact you about these assessments. But we have an option now that this is going to be in the fall of 2024. We're going to have this available. So if you're watching this later on, it's most likely already there. But right now, and fall of 2024, we are launching these new assessment options for everybody so that we'll have more granular ways for you to really leverage the best assessments for your needs, whether it's a comprehensive assessment, whether it's an initial assessment to really understand your cost profile there on what you need to have for the environment. We have a assessment to meet all of your needs. And like I mentioned, this webinar here is focusing on those infrastructure assessments, but we do have a portfolio of assessments across the cybersecurity side, across cloud as well, that we can provide for you to really help you navigate the murky waters of IT overall. So with that, I'll just jump to the last slide here. So we want to thank you all for tuning in and assessing the benefits of assessments with us. Please look at this QR code and scan that with your smartphone, or you can just reach out directly to us as well on the website. But with this QR code, you'll find the best way, easiest way to reach out and really schedule your personalized IT assessments today and take the first step towards a more efficient and secure digital environment today. With that, I'll thank you from my behalf and Tony's behalf here. Thanks for attending the webinar, and hope you have an assessment-rich environment there that we can help you with.